These are healthy birds, but not all the eggs come out the same size, and some have imperfect shells. Here in Edinburgh, they process 1.2 million eggs a day, so he must have the X factor.
Right, well this is the start of the grading process.
Right.
And the first piece of machinery here, what that's doing with the UV light is detecting anything that's wet.
Eggs are supposed to be the symbol of simplicity. You crack one open and expect the same thing every time. Yellow yolk, white albumin, fresh, clean, and reliable. But the truth is, when it comes to supermarket eggs, things are far from simple. In fact, the deeper you look, the more you realize that many of the eggs you trust on the shelves are a carefully packaged illusion, wrapped in marketing, blurred definitions, and global supply chain shortcuts. It starts with the carton. You see phrases like free range, organic, cage-free, and farm fresh printed in warm, earthy fonts beside pictures of happy hens wandering through green pastures. It feels wholesome. But those phrases don't always mean what you think. In many countries, including the US, UK, Australia, and much of Asia, these terms are barely regulated, or worse, legally vague. A free-range hen might still spend 95% of her life indoors, packed in a giant shed with tens of thousands of other birds. As long as there's a tiny door to a small patch of outdoor dirt, even if she never goes outside, the brand can call it free-range. Now imagine this. You're standing in a supermarket comparing eggs from different brands. One is from a budget chain, another from a natural label. A third boasts organic certification and an inflated price tag. You assume you're buying into ethics, nutrition, and quality. But in reality, all three cartons may be sourced from the same industrial farm. Many supermarket brands don't own their own hens. They contract with massive egg producers who supply different labels using identical stock, feed, and treatment. The packaging changes, the practices don't. That means some of the most trusted supermarket brands worldwide, including names you see in stores like Walmart, Tesco, Aldi, Coles, and Carrefour, have been exposed for misleading packaging, poor animal welfare, and questionable freshness. Because behind every neat dozen eggs is a brutal race for efficiency, and the customer? Often kept in the dark. Chapter 2. The truth about cage-free and other buzzwords. Cage-free sounds like progress, but it doesn't mean humane. All it guarantees is that the hens aren't in individual wire cages. Instead, they're often packed into massive indoor warehouses, living wing to wing in conditions just as crowded, just as stressful, and just as inhumane. The air is heavy with ammonia. The floor is covered in droppings. The birds can't go outside. They may still be debeaked, bred for unnatural egg production cycles, and subjected to forced molting through starvation to boost laying rates. Supermarket brands rely heavily on these labels to drive up prices. Organic eggs? They might be fed organic grain, but the same confinement rules apply unless you dig deep into the supplier's certifications. Farm fresh is a completely unregulated term. Nothing stops a mega farm in a distant industrial zone from slapping that label on a 2-week-old carton. And let's talk about freshness. Eggs can legally sit in cold storage for up to 45 days in the US before being sold. In the EU, that window is shorter, but producers still use legal loopholes like delaying the packaging date or shipping across borders to stretch the shelf life. The yolk may still be intact, but the flavor, texture, and nutrition degrade quickly. Some brands even apply a layer of mineral oil to the shell to extend life. This coating seals the porous shell and reduces oxygen transfer, delaying spoilage. It's not illegal, but it's rarely mentioned on the label, and it makes the egg look fresher than it is. You wouldn't know unless you cracked it and compared the whites. Fresh eggs have tight whites and tall yolks. Older ones spread out flat and watery. The deeper you go, the worse it gets. Investigations have found that some supermarket brands source eggs from farms where animal cruelty is routine. Dead hens left in cages, disease outbreaks hidden from inspectors, and overcrowding that violates even the lowest animal welfare standards. But unless a whistleblower steps forward, the supply chain stays intact. Because as long as the eggs arrive on time, unbroken, and packaged in cheerful branding, nobody asks questions. Chapter 3. The invisible hands behind supermarket brands. You probably know the names on the box, but do you know who actually produces the eggs? In most cases, it's not the brand itself. Supermarket chains often use private labeling, where massive agricultural conglomerates supply identical eggs to multiple stores under different names. For example, a consumer might buy Happy Farm eggs from a discount retailer and Nature's Finest Organic from a high-end grocer, assuming they're different in quality. But in reality, both may be packed at the same facility, from the same farm, with only marginal differences in feed or packaging. The goal isn't better eggs, it's market segmentation. One farm, multiple price points, one truth, hidden behind layers of brand fiction. In the UK, supermarket eggs sold under value labels have been traced back to operations where hens were found with open wounds, respiratory illness, and no access to the outdoors. In the US, big box stores source from massive egg producers with hundreds of thousands of birds per site, monitored more by logistics teams than animal caretakers. In Australia and New Zealand, lawsuits have been filed over misleading claims about egg origins. Farms shown on labels didn't even exist or weren't the actual source. These hidden relationships allow brands to wash their hands of accountability. If animal cruelty is exposed, the store blames the supplier. If freshness is questioned, they cite shipping schedules. But the consumer is stuck trusting a system designed to avoid transparency. The barcode tells you nothing. The label tells you half-truths. The supply chain tells you everything, but it's hidden. And let's not forget pricing tricks. Some stores sell premium eggs from the same farm as their budget line, with nothing but a different colored carton and higher markup. You're paying more for packaging psychology, not better food. It's a marketing trick that works globally. Chapter 4. What real eggs should look like and how to spot the fakes. Real eggs, fresh, honest eggs, don't need buzzwords. They come from small farms, pasture-raised hens, and producers who care more about quality than quantity. But you rarely find them in supermarkets. You find them at farmers' markets, co-ops, or directly from local suppliers. The yolks are deeper in color, almost orange. The shells are thicker. They smell cleaner, cook better, and hold together in a frying pan. You feel the difference the moment you crack one open. So how do you protect yourself from supermarket deception? First, look at the packaging critically. If the label is overloaded with feel-good language but light on specifics, be suspicious. Terms like certified humane, pasture-raised, or animal welfare approved carry more weight than vague words like natural or farm fresh. And if you see a farm name on the box, Google it. Look it up. See if it actually exists. Second, check the pack date. Not the sell-by or best-by date, the actual pack date, if listed. In the US, this is usually a 3-digit code representing the Julian calendar day of the year. Lower numbers mean earlier packing. A code of 010 means January 10th. A code of 260, that's mid-September. The closer it is to today's date, the fresher the egg. Third, do the float test at home. Drop an egg in water. Fresh eggs sink and lay flat. Older eggs tilt or float. It's not a perfect science, but it gives you an idea of how long your fresh eggs have really been sitting. And finally, if you have the option, skip the supermarket altogether. Support local egg producers when you can. Ask questions. Learn how the hens are treated, what they're fed, how often the eggs are collected. When food is sourced close to home, there are fewer secrets, fewer steps, fewer lies, because in the end, an egg should be the simplest food of all. It should represent nourishment, honesty, and care, not deception, mass production, and packaging gimmicks. You deserve better. Your breakfast deserves better. And those hens, they deserve better too. The next time you stand in front of that brightly lit supermarket fridge, remember this: Not all eggs are equal. Some are real, most are fake. And knowing the difference is more than just smart shopping. It's a quiet form of rebellion against a food system that counts on you not asking questions. So ask them and crack the illusion wide open.